line. We all over the world, Chatniyte Africa. We all over the world, Chatniyte Africa. Welcome to Chatniyte, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. Welcome to Chatniyte, we bring you good vibe, we shine on the light. We all over the world, Chatniyte Africa. We all over the world, Chatniyte Africa. Welcome to Chatniyte, the only place that we give you good vibe. Chatniyte Africa. Welcome to Chatniyte, all over the world we are shining the light. Chatniyte Africa. Welcome to Chatniyte, we are shining the light. Chatniyte Africa. Welcome to Chatniyte.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Voices of Africa on Chatniyte. My name is NCHAMUKONG, and I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. 30 years ago, I had an opportunity to speak with Pa Jomia Pefok, a respected Cameroonian statesman, on his balcony over a cold drink on a sunny day. He shared a poignant analogy about conflict management, stating that ignoring small issues could lead to bigger problems, like ignoring a pothole could eventually end up with a hole in a lake. Unfortunately, this analogy rings true today in Anglophone Cameroon, where gratuitous violence, thousands of unwanted teenage pregnancies, unbridled destruction of property, and children not going to school have become normal. I wish I could say I see an end in sight. All wars eventually end on a negotiating table, and effective negotiations happen when those fighting make concessions. If President Paul Biya, in the interest of peace in the country, were to invite the separatist/Ambazonia leaders for a negotiated settlement, what would the insurgents be willing to give up in demand? Ladies and gentlemen, that's at the core of the broadcast today.
We love Chatniyte Africa. Keep watching Chatniyte Africa.
I announced it already, and since I put out his name in social media, in all kinds of groups, my WhatsApp box was flooded with questions. On the screen needs no introduction. Mr. Chris Anu of the interim government will be taking my questions, but along the line, I will open the microphones, the phone lines, so that you can ask him your questions unfiltered. Take note, we require courtesy. You don't have to agree with Chris to be courteous to him. Any discourtesy will be cut off the line immediately. Chris, thank you for accepting to come and take some very hot questioning on Chatniyte Africa again. One thing I like about you never run away from questions.
Well, thank you for having me, Divine. George Judy has a saying that if you know the truth, you don't have to think. So I know the truth, and I don't have to run away from any question. I am ready to face them and answer them to the best of my ability.
I recall introducing you as Chris Anu of interim government. How would you like me to call you on the program?
Well, I am Comrade Chris Anu, leader of the interim government of Ambazonia.
Thank you, leader. Chris Anu, we are doing this show in 2024, about 8 years since you, plural, engaged the Yaoundé administration in a firefight, the goal being to hoist the Ambazonia flag on the Prime Minister's lodge in Boya. Fair to say that you are nowhere close? Fair to say that you are losing the war, aren't you?
That is absolutely an overstatement. Let me say this: if you think for a moment that we are losing the war, then I guess you should be asking yourself, what happened to the 2 cubes of sugar? If losing the war was for real, if anybody is losing the war, it should be those who describe us as 2 cubes of sugar, because they thought maybe in 2 days or 2 weeks they would dissolve the 2 cubes of sugar. But 7 years and counting, we are still here waxing stronger, doing exploits. Please, if you are honest to yourself, you will say La République du Cameroon is losing the war, not Amazonia.
What's your definition of victory in this firefight?
Victory is sustaining the fight to a final settlement. And for as long as Amazonia continue to hold its own, waiting for that moment of a negotiated settlement, that is what victory is all about.
If you're watching this show on Facebook, if at some point you cannot follow it on Facebook, switch quickly on YouTube. Chris, I know belligerents never agree that or accept that or concede that they're losing a fight. But when you launched this war, or let me put it this way, when you engaged, the goal was to be in Buea. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The goal still remains the same, to be in Buea.
So if you're not in Buea, how are you winning?
We are absolutely winning. If I may turn it around to you, how long did it take South Sudan to get autonomy and then independence? How about Eritrea? How about Zimbabwe? How about so many other countries that has fought for their independence? How about Somaliland that has ruled itself for 31 years and they are still yet not recognized? I think we are doing just tremendously great in our quest for independence or getting to Buea.
Since you take Eritrea as the template to demonstrate how long they fought to get the independence, well, Chris, Isaias Afwerki today is no close of anything called Democrat. He's an autocrat. He's very, very intolerant of anybody who ventures to challenge him. You definitely cannot be talking about Eritrea here as an example, can you?
No, I'm talking about Eritrea as an example in how long the fight is going, because when you say that we are losing it or it is taking too long getting to Buea, I'm trying to let you know that when you are fighting a liberation struggle like ours, you don't expect to get there in 1 week, in 1 year, in 2 years. And you will recognize that when we began this struggle, there were many of us, crowds, were being pulled every nook and corner to support the struggle. The reason being, and now you don't see those crowds today, the reason being that some came in thinking that this was going to happen for 6 months, in 1 year, in 2 years. And so the 2 years, the 6 months have come to pass, and we are still fighting. La République is not budging. We are not budging. And so they have walked, they have fallen by the side. The point is that it takes a while to gain freedom. Just look at South Africa also. Mandela was in jail for 27 years. They hoped that the blacks in South Africa would surrender. Mandela did not surrender. He won it before leaving jail. Let me tell you, we have no aspirations, and we don't look for an inch of Cameroon territory to call victory. We just want Buea, and for as long as it is going to take, we are ready to wait for it and fight on.
Chris, when I announced that you would be coming on Chatniyte Africa, I thought the proper thing to do would be to talk to a lot of people in Ground Zero to gauge. It's not a scientific survey, but at least to have a feel of what they think about you and about the struggle, which some describe as struggling. But that's a whole different matter. I talked to your supporters. They echoed what you are saying. I talked to people who are just sick and tired of the war dragging on, people kidnapped for ransom, people buried alive, people beheaded. I talked to people who just oppose you outright. So my questions today will reflect all these shades of thought. Another question, or a question that came on repeatedly, was, well, you say that it doesn't matter how long you fight, but you can say that because you are in a zone of safety in the United States. So it doesn't matter if they fight for 100 years or 200 years.
No, wherever I am really doesn't matter. When you look at these other examples that I just quoted, you will realize that the war was fought mainly by the diaspora. When war is fought in any liberation war is fought, it is fought essentially by the diaspora because they provide the moral support, the material support, and the financial support. Listen, let me tell you that I am in the diaspora doesn't mean that I am relaxed here. Comrade, let me tell you, it's going to 8 years now that this war started. I don't remember when I went to bed earlier than 2 a.m. I mean, here in Texas, 2 a.m. here is 3 a.m. your time. I don't remember when I went to bed before 2 a.m. here, but that is how we have sleepless nights working to make sure that Ground Zero is safe and that our people on the ground and the future generations can benefit from what we are fighting for. No, we are in the diaspora. We are fighting. We are paying money. We are paying our time.
But if there are people who are tired of it, you can understand they are taking the brunt of the war, not you.
Of course, you don't expect everybody to respond the same in a situation like this one. Many people have lost families. I have lost families. Again, the response won't be the same. Many people have lost their livelihoods. I'm talking about their businesses. Many people have been displaced. You have refugees all over the place. Again, the reactions will be the same. But let me assure you and those listening to the sound of my voice, freedom is never free.
And again, it's for other people to pay the price. Let's move on.
It's for all of us. It's for all of us. I guess including you, if you consider yourself Ambazonian or Southern Cameroonian or Anglophone, as you like to call yourself. It is for all of us.
You see, Chris, on the 20th of May, Cameroon celebrated its National Day. A week prior, you declared a lockdown. You and other leaders declared lockdown in the southwest and northwest regions. Now, when you make such declarations, how were you to enforce them?
Well, I think that question should not even come up because you would have realized that. You would have realized that since the war started, we have been declaring lockdowns in ghost towns for the past 7 years. And counting. And for the record, 20th May is not our national day. I don't know what you mean. I see some people calling it Independence Day. It is not a national day. Neither it is an Independence Day. 20th May was a fabrication, the day that La République du Cameroon made Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonian, Anglophones, slaves. That is why we detest it. And every opportunity we have on each of those days, we will declare ghost towns and lockdowns to make sure we send a message of defiance, not only to La République du Cameroon, but also to the international community that we mean business when we say we have severed every ties with La République du Cameroon.
Mr. Chris Anu, when you declare lockdowns, do you people expect people to follow, people on Ground Zero to follow out of commitment or out of fear of being...
They have followed out of commitment for the past 7 years and counting.
Chris, in Bello, we had people firing guns. In Batibo, I think people were firing guns. If people stay home because they heard the sounds of guns, how can you with a straight face say that they followed out of commitment? It's out of fear. Fear of the consequences.
They didn't know that the sounds of guns are not directed at them. The sounds of guns are directed at the occupiers in our territory. And sometimes the sounds of guns are coming from the occupiers in our territory. Our people know. The restoration fighters out there, they are out to defend them, to support them, to protect them, and not to go against them. And so, when the sounds of guns are from the restoration fighters, our people feel safe. They feel protected.
Chris Anu, you say that, those fighting with guns, your people are out to protect the civilians. But I've heard you denouncing situations, I mean, cases of war crimes committed by fighters on civilians. How can you say that now? I mean, it's
Well, there is a smidgen of the fighting force that we have on the ground. We never said that all the fighters are saints. We've never said that. Of course, you're quoting it right. Every time that any fighters have gone against our own people, I am the first person to condemn it, because I believe this war is not against our people. It is to protect them and to defend them. And at any moment in time, people turn their guns against the civilians. I am totally up against it, and I will continue to do it. It doesn't matter who is doing that. Even if it were my own brother doing that, I will stand up against it, because our people have suffered a lot. They should be protected and defended.
You and I live in the United States, which is a democracy, arguably the best in the world, but still, everybody doesn't follow what Joe Biden says, or when Trump or when Obama were presidents. If people are on ground zero who do not want to follow your instructions on ghost towns, lockdowns, what's going to happen to them?
Nothing will happen to them. All they just need to do is follow the flow. If you don't want to follow the instructions of ghost towns or lockdowns, but stay home, you have nothing to fear. But if you say you should defy it, go out, set up shop, and do business as usual, you are not only looking for trouble from the restoration fighters of Ambazonia, you are also looking for trouble from the occupying forces of La République du Cameroon. Let me tell you one thing. I was speaking to a lady on the ground last night, and she said she had a shop in the Boya market. And every ghost town day, they have to shut down, go stay home. And Patrick Ekema went around and shut down their shops. Guess who was doing that? That was in the restoration fighters, Patrick Ekema, the mayor. Which is why it is important when lockdowns and ghost towns are called, protect yourself, protect your business, stay home.
Do people have the choice to not follow ghost towns?
No, they don't have the choice. They don't have the choice to not follow ghost towns. They don't have the choice.
But that sounds like dictatorship, Chris.
No. We're not in a normal situation here, Divine. This is a war situation. You are talking about democracy in the USA in a normal situation. We're not talking about a normal situation in Ambazonia.
But I have people who have written to me to ask you, who even gave you the authority, the power to speak on their behalf?
The people of Ambazonia. The people of Ambazonia gave me the authority to speak on their behalf, and which is why when I come online and I declare lockdowns in ghost towns, the people listen to it, they respect it, not because they fear me, but because they know it is about their own freedom and liberties.
I'm trying to find out, I think this way it's getting a little bit confusing. When you say people gave you the mandate, what metrics were you using to say that, yeah, we've been given the mandate to act on the behalf of people on ground zero?
Now, you will agree that when this struggle started, the people of Ambazonia created the interim government of Ambazonia and elected, not appointed, but elected a leader. We have now moved from one leader to the other, from one leader to the other. It is my turn. I was not appointed. I was not nominated. I was elected by the people of Ambazonia. And that is why that legitimacy is there.
You are watching Voices of Africa on Chatniyte Africa. Since you mentioned the word, the interim government that, people gave you the mandate, here is what one of the loud voices, Mr. Mark Barretta, says about the interim government.
Mark Barretta say you're foolish. I'll say it. If you are in ground zero and you're a fighter and you're defending any virtual government, I've told you that we have no government. It's a lie that we told you. And I'm thinking, we have no government. It's a lie we told you. And I will blame Ayudo Stabe that he sat in Nigeria in Zaire. Professor Alando was there. They could not advise him. They call this one government. That was it. They could not advise him. He never listened. He formed a government without having the necessary means to protect and defend the government. Another few months, he was abducted. And here we are. Shattered. There is no government. Hear me out. I said, I am apologizing to you.
Okay. Do you disagree? I mean, you definitely disagree with him if you're the leader of the interim government. He's saying it's a lie, it's a scam, that there's a government. Chris, what's your territorial control? I mean, what are the characteristics of a government? Is Ambazonia...
Hold on a second. Don't get there. Let me address the statement you are playing there made by Mark Barretta. I don't know whether you are aware of this. Mark Barretta also once said, if you should put Paul Biya and Chris Anu together, he will shoot Paul Biya. He will shoot Chris Anu first before shooting Paul Biya. But if you brought Mark Barretta on your show and asked him whether he believes in what he said, both statements, yours you just played and the one I just quoted, Mark Barretta will tell you he said so in, at a moment when he was probably a little high. So please, those are not accurate beliefs of Mark Barretta. People
I understand why you would disagree with him, but the question is, how can you talk about a government? You have no territorial control. You don't provide services to the people. So is Ambazonia an aspiration or a country for real?
No, you are making a mistake. You are making a mistake. Don't forget, this is still, that's what we call it, a struggle. The struggle for independence, for the actualization of our independence. We declared independence. We are a government in exile, and the essence of this government in exile is essentially to prosecute this struggle. So when you talk about a territory, yes, we have a territory. That territory is from Nkambe to the Mongol. That is where we are declaring lockdowns. That is where we are passing ghost towns. That is where our army is fighting. That is the territory.
Do the armed groups on Ground Zero take instructions from you?
Some do. A handful, quite a number do.
I ask this question because there are people who say that you don't have any presence on the ground. How do you respond to that?
Well, those people may be right, because we are not the ones to go on the social media to clown. I think if those who listen to my show will hear some military leaders on the ground congratulating us for the sponsorship, their support. I mean, financial and moral and everything you can expect that we give them. But we here at this interim government, we are not kids. We are not children who jump to the social media, put our logo on every action on the ground. We are not into that. We are into covert sponsorship and manifestation. That is what we do. You talked about Bello here. Do you know what happened in Bello happened? Do you really expect Chris Anu to come and sit here and say the mayor who was killed in Bello, the delegate who was killed in Bello was sponsored by Chris Anu? Like I see some people rush and pick the videos, put their logos on it and said they did it. We are not childish. We're not into that pettiness.
Yeah, earlier on, you just said that those or anyone who disobeys your orders faces trouble. Put meat on it. What is the trouble?
Very correct. You can put me on that. Anyone who disobeys instructions like lockdowns and ghost towns and elections, a lot of people to Cameroon is trying to organize in our territory, they do so at their own risk.
Chris, the world has seen summary executions of anyone who feels they are in no obligation to follow your orders. There have been videos of people burnt alive or buried alive circulated in social media. Do you condone that? Do you take responsibility if they did that because they were following your orders?
Well, our orders have never been for any summary executions, nor for public executions. However, I would say that it is unfortunate, quite unfortunate, that some of you reporters, journalists, you don't question the kind of massacres, the killings that the Cameroon army carries out on our territory. They burn people, they burn schools, they burn hospitals. Did you see the corpse of this young guy called Efang lying in Guzang for almost a week on the market square, put there by the Cameroon army? How come the pro-Cameroon media never talks about that, but you always see about, oh, this public execution there, these abductions there?
But Chris, it's reasonable to think that if you're going to present yourselves as the alternatives or the better alternatives to beer, then you should be better than beer.
Well, you also have to understand that we are not yet ruling our territory. We are attempting, we are fighting to take hold of it, to rule it. So when you have a trained occupying army, well-equipped and well-financed, until we have gotten rid of them completely, can you say we have total control of our territory, to the effect that if any fighting force is executing people publicly, then they can face consequences? For now, we do not have any mechanism to get some of those people face any consequences, but we can condemn them just the way I have done every time that happens. But until the war is over and we have control of the territory, I bet you many of those things will still happen because, again, it's a war situation.
You have pastoral training, and I can understand why. I mean, you would say that you don't condone people buried alive, people beheaded. We've seen videos of those things carried out on Ambazonia fighters. That's what I mean. You don't disagree. You've denounced that some occasionally, but it just cannot increase with, well, we condemn them. How do you hold them responsible? Are they even aware of anything called war crimes?
Again, you got to understand that in this struggle, there are different arms of the struggle, different movements in the struggle, and they also run an army or a fighting group on the ground. We cannot take responsibility for their actions, and which is why often I will come on and condemn any of those actions. I don't care where they come from, and even if they were being perpetuated by our own fighters, we still condemn it. And if they are carried out by other groups, we still condemn it because they paint all of us black. We become collateral damage when those actions are carried out. We have to condemn it.
Why would your fighters engage in war crimes if you effectively control them?
Well, they are not saints. They are not saints. They are in the war front. You have to understand their situation to understand why they behave sometimes the way they do. And often we have even found out that some of these are rogue fighters who are not even our fighters. They are boys. I'll give you a good example. I was called once from Nkwen. A man had been abducted, and they were demanding 10 million CFA from the man. And they called me and said I should intervene. I asked for the number of the kidnappers. I was given the number of the kidnappers. I called the kidnappers, and guess what? These kidnappers, they were not even our fighters. And when I mean our fighters, I mean restoration fighters. They belong to no liberation movement at all. They were just opportunists who masqueraded and spoke the language of the restoration fighters and perpetuated this. So there are rogue elements who take opportunity of the situation to abduct people, take ransom, and then it is all attributed to Ambazonian fighters. It's not always the case.
But if you create the conditions on the ground for lawlessness, it seems to me you are an accessory to that.
I don't know what you mean by a situation of lawlessness. I would love you to define that, creating that situation.
We'll get to that. Time for us to have a break. I told you this program will be very hot today with the leader of the interim government, Mr. Chris Anu. Let's take a 1-minute break. And for those of you watching on Facebook, if at some point you can no longer see the program on Facebook, switch over to YouTube. There you will watch in high definition. Let's take a break and watch this. I'll be right back.
Welcome to Jarek Delivery. How to place an order. Download the Jarek customer app. Sign up with your name and phone number. Schedule an order and pay.
The nearest driver will pick it up and deliver.
With Jarek Compensation Plan, become a referrer and enroll a business with delivery needs and earn at least 5% commission on delivery cost. Become a business partner with Jarek and earn at least 10% commission on delivery cost. If you're a driver, you can earn 70% of the delivery cost. Great news! Our current promo is to refer a friend and get $10 on your next delivery when they use Jarek. These are the services we provide: food delivery, furniture delivery, grocery delivery, medicine delivery, moving, junk removal, flower and gifts delivery, auto spare parts and tires, party rentals, courier delivery. For more information, call us at 2407-018513 or visit our website www.jarek.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. At Jarek, we deliver with a smile. Download the Jarek customer app from either App Store or Play Store.
You are watching Voices of Africa on Chatniyte Africa. Once again, join me in welcoming the leader of the interim government, Mr. Chris Ano. All right, we have somebody on the line. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello. You're calling from?
I'm calling from London.
Oh, from London. Beautiful.
Yes.
As I said,
That is Nkonda Titus, I can tell. There are a lot of public agent out there.
All right. Again, as I said, we require courtesy on the show. Even we may disagree, but on Chatniyte Africa, we require courtesy. Yes, sir. What's your question for Mr. Chris Ano?
I have listened to Christopher Anu tell his version of the stories, but we all know that his own biological brother was the so-called Field Marshal of Libya Alem, and he is responsible for collecting extortion and killing the chiefs of Eswata, to be precise, on the 17th of February, 2021. So let us get the story straight. Is Chris Anu going to tell us exactly what happened to the chiefs at Eswata that his brother killed? And he quoted another instance of a Fang, who is an ADF, who was killed and displayed in Guzang. His own brother, Oliver Lekiaka, I am proud to say I am one of those who sent only 4 ex-combatants to go to Libya Alem and neutralize his brother and to free the population of Libya Alem from the terrorism of his brother. His brother was displayed in Kumba, exposed, decomposed body. So let him not talk about a Fang, but let him bring the story home and tell us and apologize to the Cameroonian people for the atrocities that his brother has committed in Libya Alem, and the population of Libya Alem now are celebrating and rejoicing after the demise of his brother. And that's why we don't hear of Red Dragons anymore. Chris Anu cannot threaten anyone because he has no leverage and no control over any gang of armed combatants in the Anglophone zone. Let us get that story clear. And if he says that he has any combatants, let him tell us where the combatants are fighting.
Okay,
so
you have any question? There's so many people on the line.
The question is, where are you fighting? And what happened to the chiefs at Eswata that your brother killed? And the money he extorted from them, where is the money?
Thank you, sir. Yes, Chris, your response.
Well, unfortunately, I don't entertain criminals like the one calling. I won't entertain his question. Thank you. You can go to the next question.
The next question, Chris, is are there times that you feel that you have made mistakes in this thing since it started in 2016? And if yes, what are some of the mistakes you may have made?
Absolutely. I think nobody can say he is immune to mistakes. The only problem we've had is that, this war was declared upon us. None of us knew what it would take to fight the war. We're not experts in this. We as a movement, we made mistakes, quite a lot of them, but we are learning from them. And I think it can only get better.
The other time you were denouncing excesses, what you call, I mean, you stop short of calling the ADF terrorist group, but here you are praising Mr. Efan, well, General Efan. You call him General Efan. He belonged to the SDF, to the ADF. Excuse me.
I wasn't necessarily praising him. I was trying to expose the attitude of the occupying force in Ambazonia, referring to the soldiers of La République du Cameroon, the way they treat human beings, because if I'm good or bad, was still a human being and had some, at least, needed a courtesy to be treated right, even at his death. But La République du Cameroon did not do that.
Chris, we've seen situations, scenes of jubilations. You even remarked yourself that people are just happy when your fighters fall, especially the commanders, some of your big names.
I don't think that is true. I don't know where you get your research, but that is absolutely not true. I know for sure when Ivo fell, people wept. I know for sure when Fibacha the King fell, people wept. I know for sure when Commando, when Chacha, they fell, people wept. I don't know where you get your information.
Now, Chris, if you have conceded that the fighters are not saints, so if they're not saints, it's because you acknowledge that they have committed excesses. Why would people weep if they commit excesses and they're killed?
I didn't say the ones that fell or were killed committed excesses. I said they are all not, they are not saints, and there are root ones among them who are not even fighters. And often this is done by those who are just opportunists, who take advantage of the situation to enrich themselves. But the ones we are talking about who are fallen, they were respected and revered by Ambazonians.
Okay, let's move on. On May 20th, during the march past in Yaoundé, the Cameroonian military showcased legions of special forces and sophisticated firepower. Chris Anu, do you still believe that the path to independence is through the battlefield?
Absolutely, I believe that, but I also believe that the end to every struggle ends on the negotiating table. Please, Yaoundé can display whatever armament they want to display. Don't forget, at the beginning of this war, they rule their machinery through Douala to Bamenda, and people thought hell was going to come down. It is going to 8 years now. What happened? What happened to that display? What happened to it? Then there was a time they displayed drones given them by the French. What have they done? Again, please realize that this army, this ragtag army that we have, fighters that we have, they have been fighting for close to 8 years, and a trained and well-equipped and financed army is still there doing propaganda, surrogacy, unable to beat them. They can display whatever they want to. What matters is, are we giving up? Absolutely not. We've gone too far to think that we can give up.
And I do understand if your fighters are going to give up. I'm just wondering how people who have not a fraction of the training that the regular forces of Yaoundé have, the special forces, they have firepower, air power, and those things. How do you think that you can win a battle against a professional army, better trained, better funded? Help me understand.
Well, I think actually you should understand this without me having to explain to you. If they said we were 2 cubes of sugar that were dissolved in 2 weeks and in 8 years, they are still figuring out how to dissolve it, don't you think that is victory and accolades already?
Chris, I've heard you talk about negotiated settlement. Now, if President Biya, for the sake of peace in the country, were to accept negotiations with you guys, what would you be willing to consider giving up in your demands?
I don't think negotiations I don't think calling for negotiations is about what we give up. It is about what they are willing, how far they are willing to go. As far as this struggle is concerned, our goal is a free and independent Southern Cameroon. Maybe we can give up on so many things depending on what Cameroon puts on the table, but not on a free and independent Amazonia.
Well, then it's hard to see how you give up anything, because making concessions is a key principle of effective negotiations. If you go in and your goal is independence or nothing, then you're not making any concessions, are you?
Well, you don't make concessions until you also know what the other party is ready to concede, isn't it? So at this moment, I cannot say, we are going to concede that, we are going to concede this, because what is the other party going to concede if we are telling them what we have to concede?
You risk being seen as a traitor when you start talking about negotiations. Now it was fight to the finish.
Come on, Divine, don't you understand that every war ends on the negotiation table?
Well, I'm talking about looking like a traitor to your followers.
No. My followers are intelligent and smart enough to know that every war, every conflict ends at the negotiation table. That's what it is.
Okay. Capo Daniel talks of a negotiated settlement. You talk of a negotiated settlement. Chris Anu, what separates yours from his?
It depends what, when he talks about a negotiated settlement, it depends what he means by that. For example, he has endorsed. No, I don't think so, because he has recently endorsed the Grand National Dialogue and the special status that Yaoundé offered. And I think he is also talking about a 10-state or 4-state or 2-state federation within one and indivisible Cameroon. When we talk about a negotiated settlement, we are talking about a negotiated settlement that ends with a free and independent Amazonia. We have to talk about the national debt. We have to talk about, many things we have to talk about. What do we do with electricity when we take over? What do we do with the phone service when we take, because you have to understand that all these things are still managed by La République du Cameroun. So we have to sit down on the negotiation table, figure out what will happen to the national debt, because of course part of it has been spent on Amazonian side. But besides that, you have electricity. They will still have to supply us electricity until we are able to generate our own. What about the currency? We may still have to use their currency until we have developed. These are the things we are referring to as a negotiated settlement. We're not talking about settlement concerning the form of state. No, we're not talking about form of state here.
Point taken. If Frank Biya decided to tar or construct boulevards all around the northwest and southwest regions, would you take it?
No, this is not about infrastructure. This is about freedom and liberty.
No, I'm asking you, if he decided to construct roads all over, because we've been complaining that we don't have roads. We've been cheated, and to a certain degree, true. So if Biya decided to launch massive construction projects in the northwest and southwest regions, would that be acceptable to you?
Of course, we will accept it, but that would not make us to lay down our arms, because in the first place, that money they use for road construction, it is our tax money. We deserve the roads, not just today, but many years ago. It is our people paying the taxes. They deserve good roads.
Excellent. So you saw your fighters burning down caterpillars. What was your response to that action of burning down, destroying road construction equipment?
I don't know how to defend that. To say our fighters did that, I am not sure. If you have any evidence, please present it.
You sound like I'm utterly correct.
No, it's a fact. Can you prove that those caterpillars were burned down by restoration fighters? Can you prove it?
There were groups that took responsibility, sir.
Which groups took responsibility?
Let's move on. In this business of negotiated settlement, do you think that the international community has a role to play in it?
Of course, we will not go to any negotiated settlement where there is no third party. The third party would have to be any country or organization from the international community, maybe the United Nations, maybe the AU, maybe the EU, maybe the Commonwealth, whichever it is.
Chris, this is what you said about the United Nations.
This is the moment to confiscate anything and everything United Nations has on the ground in our territory. Every United Nations official or piece of equipment that is seen moving or standing anywhere in Ambazonia must be hurriedly, and I mean hurriedly, confiscated.
That's your voice.
Correct. I stand by that statement.
How do you go back to the international community when you don't want them?
No. We didn't say we don't want them. We said their actions have not been commensurate to the degree of violence that we have seen in our country. Consider this. Barely 3 years into the war, Legitimacy Cameroon holds a conference and said it is a conference for reconstruction. And guess who they put in charge? The United Nations, what do they call it? United Nations, is it economy, something? I've forgotten.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't remember. That's okay.
Yeah. Oh, United Nations Development Program.
Okay.
They put the United Nations Development Program, the front row it to promote reconstruction 3 years after the war. And that is what that statement was referring to. We were trying to get a lot of people to understand until the war is over, don't talk about reconstruction. And if the United Nations Development Program is engaging itself to cover for La République du Cameroon, we will burn every piece of equipment they put on that road. And that statement still stands. If the United Nations, any of their agencies is interested in resolving the conflict in Ambazonia, the conference table awaits all of us. They should facilitate that. And then after that, they can talk about reconstruction.
I do understand you disagree with the reconstruction going on when the war is not ended. That sounds logical to me. But when you come out and rail against the United Nations, rail against some people, and your fighters attack them, it's fair to say you're responsible.
No, we are not the first to go after the United Nations. The United Nations is simply an instrument in the hands of the powerful. They behave the way the French want them to behave, or act and do exactly what the French want them to do. They forget about the killings, the sufferings of the people. What do you make of the fact that this war has been going on for 8 years, over 30,000 people killed? And the United Nations has not tried by any means, any way, to get the two parties to sit down and talk. Yet they are talking about reconstruction.
I hope they're listening to you. And I'm also hoping that any member of government in President Biya's cabinet who wants to come here and defend 42 years of Biya, we are open. We are open to receiving high-level officials of the CPDM. Please, if you're watching this broadcast, and you think that you can defend Mr. Biya, you know how to reach me. I'll be glad to ask you, and my questions will be in no less intense. When you started talking about negotiated settlement and Capo Daniel talking about negotiated settlement, that got my attention. Capo has challenged you to a debate. Are you willing to take debate?
I wouldn't want to make him feel relevant by going for any debate where he is on set. I really don't consider him an Amazonian leader. If he wants you to believe and convince you to believe he is an Amazonian leader, it is easy for somebody to front a label, give it a certain name and call it an organization. Who are his executives? Who is his secretary? Who is his treasurer? Who is his finance secretary? Who is his assistant?
But you should be able to debate some. I mean, you debated Eric Chinger, you debated lots of other people. So why wouldn't you debate Capo Daniel?
I can debate Eric Chinger because Eric Chinger is frank on where he belongs. as far as Capo Daniel is concerned, he is a parasite and very irrelevant as far as this struggle is concerned. He may have been used at a point in time by Egg of C, but I don't know how they got that guy. But listen, I would not legitimize him or make him feel relevant by sitting on the same set and debating with him. He cannot be compared to Eric Chinger. At least Eric Chinger is an adult, has mature ideas. Our ideas may not agree, but I respect him, and that is exactly what I do on my own show. I bring people from all shades of opinion. We discuss constructively. But somebody who is just trying to take advantage, be opportunistic like Capo Daniel, I don't recognize him.
I get your point. After this break, we will go to viewers' questions. As I told you, once people heard that you were coming on my show, they sent me tons of questions. So when we come back, you will be answering questions from Ground Zero, and the phone number also, the phone line will be open. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Voices of Africa, and if you're on YouTube, please hit the subscription button and the notification sign button. We have lined up great content for you in the weeks ahead. Stay tuned now.
Hey there. Do you have an event coming up like wedding, baby shower, birthday parties, or graduation ceremony? Are you in need of transportation for your chairs, your food, drinks, canopies, tables? Garage Delivery Services got you covered. We will pick your items from whatever location and transport them to your event location very fast and safe. We also do moving. We will also transport your flowers and couriers to wherever you want us to do so. Go now and schedule a delivery on gerek.com. You may also call the number 240-701-8513. Thank you.
Beautiful. You are watching Voices of Africa on Chatniyte Africa. My name is NCHAMUKONG. I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We have 3 programs running on this platform. We have Voices of Africa, which is what you are watching now. We have Healthline, and we have Family Matters. If you haven't discovered our brand new, stunning website, www.chatniyteafrica.net, you better go there. You'll be happy with what you see. Ladies and gentlemen, before I bring on Mr. Chris Anu, you simply can also, if you have Android phone, go on the Play Store and search Chatniyte Africa. You will see our app. Download the app. It's free. Once we are on air, you will get signals on your phone. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now welcome once again Mr. Chris Anu on the platform.
We love Chatniyte Africa. Keep watching Chatniyte Africa.
Very good. Chris, time for audience questions. I got a ton of them. Question number 1, all of these were assembled from Ground Zero. Chris, in this quiet moment, are you happy that Anglophones are killing each other in the name of struggle?
I do not know that Anglophones are killing each other in the name of struggle. I think if any concern, people should be concerned that La République du Cameroon has killed over 30,000 of our people, sent close to 1 million as refugees, both in their country and in Nigeria, shut down schools. I think that is where the concern should be. When it comes to freedom, you will always have internal disagreements. So our case is not unusual. Again, any blame, it should go to La République du Cameroon. They declared war. We did not declare war. We are the victims in this case.
Well, you keep saying any blame goes to President Biya and his government. You don't sound like willing to take responsibility for anything.
I don't know why I should take any responsibility when we are defending themselves. I mean, we are defending ourselves, defending our territory against an aggressor who has come into our territory. What do you do, Divine, when an infiltrator comes to your home and try to kill you? You defend yourself as much with all the force and power that you can, isn't it?
But going by your logic, Chris, when you see kidnapping for ransom, beheadings, burying people alive, that's not self-defense, is it?
Again, that is not being done collectively by us, by our fighters. La République du Cameroon, I don't know whether you saw 2 days ago a video circulated how the army gets boys, train them to go out, steal, bring the money to them. The boys masquerade as amber fighters. And when they go out, they think they're amber fighters. So this is happening on the ground. You even saw also a few days ago that Moja was demoted by the Cameroon army for carrying out some of the very actions you are attributing to Ambazonian fighters. How about the killings in Garibou, which were carried out by Cameroon fighters? This is not Ambazonians killing Ambazonians.
All right, let's move on. We have somebody on the line. Hello? Hello? You on Chatniyte Africa, please? Hello, do you have a question? Yes, please. Ask your question, shut down any listening device where you are, and simply speak to me as you were in a phone call.
Okay, are you getting me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Greetings and also accept my greetings.
Are you speaking on the, are you using the speakerphone? Just take the phone to your ears and speak, sir.
Okay, are you getting me now?
Yes. Chris, do you get him?
I am getting him very faintly.
Okay. Go on, sir.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, thank you very much. So greetings and also extend my greetings to Madia.
Okay.
So I have so many things, I have so many things to ask Mr. Chris. You know, I am very happy for this platform because I know that if I had called Mr. Chris, he would have dropped. That is the way he's always doing. When you call him, you ask things that he doesn't like, he will drop. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Chris, these are the things. So some time ago, there was this B39. And by then, you were still with Mr. Sako. And by then, you clearly said that ADF was sponsored by the Cameroon government, and they were sent to Bui to kill Chacha and the people of and their fighters in Bui. I would like to ask, do you still stand that 39 people were killed in Bui? That is the first question. Then the second thing is, you have always said that, oh, Ayabacho is like getting money from the government. Do you still stand with your word today that Ayabacho is sponsored by the government? And if there were to be talks today, are you going to go there to represent the people? Or should Ayabacho go there? Or should Mr. Sako go? Or should whosoever, Marianta go? These are my questions. Please just give me the answers.
Thank you, sir. You can drop off the line. Thank you. Yeah, Chris, let's go back to this before you answer question one. If Mr. Biya were to call you guys for a negotiated settlement, you are firing at Ayabacho. Ayabacho is firing at you. You're cross-firing at each other. So who is Paul Biya going to talk to?
Well, the fact that we fire at each other doesn't mean we are not Ambazonians. I think it's a matter of opinion and policy that we differ on. But we all agree that
it's
all
policy.
of us
You are
want.
accusing others of corruption. It's not corruption. Isn't a policy.
Well, corruption doesn't mean that they are not for a free and independent Amazonia. At least we are united in this, that we all want a free and independent Amazonia. Therefore, when it comes to sitting down at the negotiation table, everybody, now hear me, everybody who believes in a free and independent Amazonia should sit on that table, irrespective of the differences we may have held in the past. Now, okay. As far as the 39, the guy is referring to his concern.
Correct.
I think Capo Daniel has said he has an answer to those killings, being that he was a member. In fact, he calls himself the Deputy Chief of Defense of the ADF, he has said, if the ADF doesn't mind it, he can put the real information out there. So I will not sit here and postulate. One thing is sure, yes, 39 fighters were killed in the buoy, and they went there to kill Chacha. Unfortunately, they met their demise. That was exactly what happened.
So you see what I was talking from the start. I didn't even have these details that there are atrocities going on. People are buried alive. People are beheaded. People are doing, all kinds of stuff going on. I was just worried that you're not taking any responsibility. But let's move on to the question here.
I'm sorry, but I won't take responsibility for something that I am not. I wasn't. The 39 who were killed in Bui, they were supposed to be ADF. So the ADF should be accounting for what happened to them. We know why they went there. We don't know who killed them. We don't know how they were killed. We know they were killed. So I won't sit here and be accounting for something I have no idea about.
This question came up several times from people on Ground Zero. Chris Anu, of what importance now is the ghost towns on Mondays, ghost towns and lockdowns on Monday?
The ghost town, they send a subliminal message to La République du Cameroon and to the international community that war is still ongoing in Amazonia. For as long as La République du Cameroon cannot have workers back into their offices on Mondays or in a lockdown day, it sends a message to the world. Amazonia is not free. Amazonia is still fighting. Amazonia is at war.
But if you know that if we agree that lockdowns impoverish people, how does the road to independence pass through impoverishment of the population?
The lockdown doesn't impoverish people, Divine. Lockdown that takes place once in a while, like once every 11th February, once every 20th May, once every La République du Cameroon election. How does it impoverish people? Our people have gotten used to it. Let me tell you something. We have tried before to say that, you know what, let's suspend the ghost town. But people on Ground Zero said to us, listen, it should stay. We are used to it. We love it. We want it. Let it stay. Exactly.
Chris, are you? I don't know how the people of Guang would enjoy shutting down their markets.
No, that's a different case. That's a different case. That's a different case entirely. The people of Guang, I came out and I condemned the shutdown of Guang. There should be no reason why any town, any village, any city is shut down for a complete week. There should be absolutely no reason, and not at this moment. Because we know for sure we're not going to win this war through ghost towns and lockdowns. But when we call for them, we call for it because of particular reasons. And for any lockdown to exceed 2, 3, 4 days, it's abnormal. We wouldn't support that. Guang was a different thing, and I came out and I condemned it. And the next day, Guang was open. The same thing with Ngoketrinche, when they shut down the roads, I came out, I condemned it. The next day, the roads were open.
Well, Chris, if one group led by Ayabacho declares lockdown, extensive lockdown, and your own group opposes it, then we face with a real scenario of a civil war among your camp.
I will not have to look at it from that perspective. I look at it from the way the people on the ground receive it.
But you are leader of the interim government. That means covering the area that Ayabacho's forces operate, aren't you?
Yeah, I like to say this. Again, when we will not condone anything that disadvantage our people on the ground. So we do not sit here and take irrational decisions that adversely affect our people on the ground. And when we see any other group does that, we will not sit still, because, listen, it brings collateral damage to our efforts. The same thing, if the ADF or AGOC should find out that the interim government is doing anything that brings collateral damage to the struggle, they are free to condemn it. But the ultimate decision lies with the people on ground zero.
Somebody's
the people on ground zero, they have the right and the power to come out and say, unless you explain to us why you are calling for a 1-month lockdown, we are not going to respect it. The people on ground zero owe that. So it all depends on them. And which is why sometimes I have to come out again and again and again to condemn some of that behavior, because we hear from the people on the ground.
Your point taken. I just got a question here from Bamenda. When the question reads, they're asking me to ask you this question, Chris. Do you have Ayabacho's number?
I do.
Do you have Capo Daniel's number?
I do.
Do you have Sako's number?
I do, but I think he changes his number like a woman changing rapper. I don't know. I don't have the right one.
But what this leads to the core of the question from Bamenda. Since when did you last call these people for a discussion?
Well, let me tell you, there are people I don't need to. Let me tell you, there are people I don't need to call. I call Ayaba and he will attest that he calls me. I don't need to call Capo Daniel, and there is no reason to call him. I can call Sako, but I don't have his recent number. I think it's only about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And it's only about 2 weeks ago, I had a communication with Marianta. So you guys don't understand what goes on in the background. Let me tell you something before you move to the next question. Listen, I am one single person. I don't hold grudges. I can quarrel with you today on principles, but trust me, we will talk the next day.
How are you going to convince anybody that you talk with Ayabacho when you recently came out in a video virtually calling his group a terrorist group? Calling for him to be annihilated. You actually were calling for him to be annihilated and for his group to be annihilated.
But that is being consistent. That when it is right, you stand up for it. When it is wrong, condemn it. And the reason I came out with that bold statement was because, listen, we are talking in the background. We are discussing certain things in the background. And then you send your boys to go out, execute somebody, firing squad style in the market square. It is wrong. You know why? Because it is not only egg of sea that is painted bleak. All of us becomes painted with the same brush because they are told those are Ambazonian fighters. Those are Ambazonian fighters. Whereas that is not done by the restoration forces. So we have to call them out on that. And if they are annoyed, the only thing they can do is change.
Have you ever
Our people should not be... Yes, go on.
You said that you have people fighting at your behest on the ground. Have you ever taught them what war crimes are?
It will surprise you to know that this interim government from the onset developed military ethics, a code of ethics, and send to the ground to every fighting force that we have in every LGA and every county. Of course, most of them respect it, but you will still have the rook ones, the opportunistic ones who would want to do their own thing. But you also have to understand, that this is a war situation, and the ability to fully enforce some of these rules, they are difficult. They are hard because we are not on the ground.
Let's move on to the next question. Now, these are questions are collected from Ground Zero. When are the leaders, you guys, you, Ayabacho, the lady, all of you going to come to join the fighting on Ground Zero?
Why do we have to join the fight on the Ground Zero? We have 8 million Ambazonians out there, including all of us.
I can understand the premise. I can understand the premise of the question. If you are asking people to cross a bridge and you don't want to cross the bridge first, there has to be something unsafe about it.
Yeah, let me come there. I'm trying to answer the question. Again, we are about 8 million of us Ambazonians, be they on Ground Zero or in the diaspora. Tell me if you know any war where 8 million or the entire country has fought. Let me assure you, some of us in the diaspora will fight this war much more than some of those asking those questions, I can assure you, anyone asking such a question is not for this struggle, because this war is still going on. It's still being sustained because of the diaspora. That is where the money is coming from. And guess who is raising the money? Those of us in the diaspora. That is called fighting. Not everybody will carry the ammunition. Some will provide the money. That is what we are doing.
I'm trying to understand the premise of the question from ground zero. The person must have had in mind other revolutions across Africa. UNITA, you had Jonas Savimbi on the ground. You have John Garang in South Sudan. You had Mandela on the front. You have Mugabe and who was the other one in Zimbabwe? You had Charles Taylor. All these people, these are examples where people, actually leaders, were commanding from the front lines.
Well, you don't have to compare. I mean, all struggles do not have the same characteristics, right? You can rest assured that a moment will come when some of us will now be on the ground. The moment will come when some of us will now be on the ground. Maybe myself, maybe Ayaba, maybe Sako, maybe whoever. We don't know. But listen, at the moment, if we have the field marshals on the ground, why must we be there? We cannot be know all and do all. That is why we have the charters, we have the grandpas, we have the expendables, we have the field marshals, and so on. They are doing what they should do. Our coming to the ground will not make any difference.
We have another question. Again, I have a load of questions. Federation as an option to resolve the crisis, Chris? What's your opinion about that?
No, that is not what 30,000 people have been killed for. If federation was an option, I think we would have long settled for it.
Well, if you had an Ambazonia, it would be a Federal Republic of Ambazonia, wouldn't you? So
Federal Republic of Ambazonia, not Federal Republic of Cameroon. That's a difference.
Question coming from ground zero. Let's see. What mistakes have you made, and are you willing to admit them?
We have made many. I can sit here and begin to enumerate them. Just like in any other organization, we have made many. We will still make many, but I think we are learning a lot.
When you draw up your policies and you are announcing the implementation, do you take into account how people are impacted by what you say and do from the distances in Europe and the United States?
I don't understand what you mean by that, if it has to do with Europe and United States.
If you, I mean, leaders, you don't just draw up policies and impose. You have to make these policies taking into account the downstream effect on the population. Do you ever consider the downstream effect of all the policies you impose from where you are?
Well, you have to understand that unlike any other movement or organization in this struggle, we are the only organization, the interim government, that consists of representation from worldwide. When you hear about county by county, LGA by LGA, we have those LGAs represented by their own people, the counties represented by their people, the countries and the regions, referring to Europe, Middle East, America, Canada, South America, all represented. In fact, the Restoration Council is made up of representations from the LGAs and the countries and regions. But I'm saying that to say that you don't have two people, unlike in some of these organizations, you don't have 2 or 3 people or 5 people sitting here and taking decisions that affect 8 million people. Those decisions are taken in consensus with these representation.
It's now 7 years and counting since the armed conflict started. We haven't seen any country in the world, and you travel quite extensively, coming to endorse you. They're simply not buying your modus operandi, Chris. If they did, we would know.
No, listen, you have to know that international diplomacy doesn't manifest like day and night, I will tell you there are countries that, if it were possible, will go out and vocally say, we stand for a free and independent Amazonia. But because the world is ruled by 5 countries, the United States, the UK, the French, Russia, China, do you think that any of these smaller countries go out and say they support a free and independent Amazonia? You can expect the weight of the French, or the weight of the Americans, or the weight of the British to fall upon those countries. Let me tell you, that is the reason why, even when Somaliland has ruled itself, ejected Somalia, and has now ruled itself, carried out 6 democratic elections, ruled itself for 31 years, no one country has recognized Somaliland. Kenya, their next door neighbor, is there. They use Kenyan passport to travel. They use Ethiopian passport to travel. But none of these countries has recognized them as an independent state. Not because they don't want to see an independent Somaliland, but it is because, what will the British say if we do it? What will the Americans say if we do it? So they are looking up to these countries. The moment any of these big nations say, we are now standing for Somaliland, you will see a plethora of countries now standing up to say, we defend Somaliland. We have support. Amazonia has support, but we are also looking for that opportunity when maybe the Americans, maybe the French, maybe the British will say, we support a free Amazonia. You will see that manifest itself.
Chris, there was a time that there was all this talk about my trip to Buea. How was that trip to Buea to be affected, and what was the path?
It was a funding mechanism. It was a funding mechanism for the struggle. And again, don't forget, that was in the early days of this struggle. We were still learning a lot. In fact, I wish we had the money we had then today. Like, you will see a lot of difference. But we made, all of us made our mistakes with the management of it. Again, merely because we had no experience. This was in the second year of the war, either the first or second year of the war. It was a good experience that we had, but we made our mistakes. All of us, we made our mistakes, and we learned from that. We are moving on. The war is still going on in spite of that.
You are watching Voices of Africa, and my guest today is Mr. Chris Anu, who is the leader of the Amazonia interim government. We will have a short break again, and when we return, we will take your phone calls. Get ready. The phone number is 240-603-7367. 240-603-7367. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Garrett Delivery Service LLC. Have you been looking for a reliable and affordable moving company? Garrett Delivery Service moves your belongings using extra safety measures. We offer customized solutions to fit all of your delivery requirements, saving you time and money. We are dedicated to providing you with safe and prompt delivery services by partnering with a network of local drivers. Feel free to call us if you need assistance with booking your delivery. Here are some of the proficient services we offer: local moving services, furniture delivery services, medicines delivery services, letters delivery services, documents delivery services, grocery delivery services, food delivery services, flowers and gifts delivery services, junk removal services, home cleanout service. Other attributes to make you hire our fascinating services. Operational since 2019, 24/7 availability, timely delivery, trusted partnership with local movers. We value your time, maximum customer satisfaction, reasonable rates. Get in touch to book your delivery.
And my name is NCHAMUKONG. I'm anchoring this broadcast from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Ladies and gentlemen, I will take you now to the northwest region of Cameroon for a brief musical interlude, and we'll be right back with Chris Anu. Stay tuned. Voices of Africa. You are watching Voices of Africa, and we are broadcasting from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring up on the platform Mr. Chris Anu once again. Mr. Chris Anu, somebody is writing comments that you cannot deodorize corruption like the way you do, corruption and outright embezzlement, calling it mistakes. What do you call mistakes in this struggle?
Mistakes have to do with the prosecution of the struggle. Certain things that projects that we tried that and spent money on which nothing was achieved. I would say things that you would consider not worth doing, but doing it and not registering the results that you expected.
Okay, my phone line is also open again. 240-603-7367. We'll be closing the show in 10 minutes. 240-603-7367. Chris Anu, are there things you think people don't know about you?
Of course, I think like every human being, not everybody knows everything about me. I know you as
understood.
I know you as a journalist over CRTV, Bamanda, with a golden voice. I don't know many other things besides that.
Do you feel you are being misunderstood?
I think absolutely so. The reason being that I think if anybody was close to what we do, the decisions we make, the reason we make those decisions, they will realize that every decision we try to take is for the good of the people and the advancement of the struggle. But being that we don't go out telling people why we take some of those decisions, they may never know, they may never understand until the books are written and people begin to read why certain decisions were made.
How do you fund your operations if you're not involved in kidnapping for ransom?
Amazonia funds it. We don't have to kidnap our own people to fund the struggle. Then who are we fighting for if we have to kidnap them?
It looks like somebody is on the line. Let's see. You can actually call me at 240-603-7367, 240-603-7367. Thank you. I have people writing to me from all over the place in Europe, Africa, and the United States. You can remain anonymous if you don't want anybody to identify you. You can remain anonymous. We have 5 minutes to close this broadcast. Chris, I'll be coming for your last word, and I may cross-examine you on that. But before that's done, let me say that on this platform are 3 programs. We have Voices of Africa, which is what we are watching now. We have Family Matters, and we have Healthline. Now, a lot of people have asked me what we want to accomplish by bringing Amber leaders on this platform. Listen to this. What we want to accomplish is good journalism. We don't bring people here on account of how we like or dislike anyone. Believe me, if Mr. Paul Biya could interview him here, I'd be glad to take him. Not because I share the same ideas with him, but because he's the president of the country. And so if you are a member of Mr. Biya's cabinet or a senior official in the CPDM, by all means, signal me. There are so many ways you can reach me. And I'll be glad to take you on this platform and question you incisively. Let's have an interlude before we come right back.
Chatniyte Africa, 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 Chatniyte Africa.
That's Africa's voice to the world. Chatniyte Africa, Africa's voice to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wrap up in a few minutes. Time for us to bring up one more time, Mr. Chris Anu. Chris, what do you think some people dislike about you? I'm not talking about people on Biya's side. What do you think people in Anglophone Cameroon dislike about you?
I would not say Anglophone Cameroon. I am no Anglophone Cameroonian. I am Amazonian. And as far as that is concerned, I would say people that we have worked with and still work with, I think sometimes they don't like the idea that I am very principled, I am strict, I call black, black, I call white, white. That is the way I have always been. I hate to see people manipulated. I hate to see fraud, cheating, and all of that. So that is one thing that I have observed, that when you work with people and you try to be as straight as you can be, they don't like it because they like to play the games. They will not call black, black. They will not call white, white. And I have observed that many people don't like me for that. But that doesn't change me. For as long as I have a free conscience, I just know I'm trying to do the best that I can.
Here's what some people don't like about you, Chris, and they've talked to me about it. The idea of prohibiting children from attending school. If you say that they shouldn't attend government schools, but that's what is affordable, Chris. Everybody cannot go to a private school.
No, we didn't. I think that is an overstatement. Actually, not a factual statement. We haven't prohibited children from going to school. We have said...
It looks like somebody's on the line. Hold your thought right there. Hello?
Hello, Divine.
Yes, please. You have a question for Mr. Chris Anu?
Yes, good evening. Yes, I have a question for Chris Anu.
Yes, go ahead,
First of all,
please.
he talks about condemning roads that were closed and they are open. Bengui Road is still locked for months and months now, and nothing has been done. Secondly, he says the war can go for 27 years. What will happen to the children who are unable to go to school for those 27 years? How are they going to repair those children when they take power? What are they going to do for those 27 years? Because we might reach 27 years. And what will happen to those children? He is talking. Most of his examples in all his programs, maybe he's unconscious. He talks about Bamenda all the time. Life is normal in Limbe. Life is normal in Kumba. Almost normal in Boya. And he is from the Southwest. Why is he talking all the time about Bamenda? And which group is he actually leading in this? Let's know which group. We know ADF of Ayabacho, no other group. So what is his own group? And why is he talking a lot about Bamenda and all his examples about Bamenda? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chris, what's your response?
Yeah, let me go back to the school question. Again, we did not ask children not to go to school, and neither did we stop them from going to school. We have stated very clearly that we don't want to see La République du Cameroon operated government schools in our territory. Don't forget, this war escalated out of the school policy, the educational policy, and the legal policies. So we have said, you want those schools to reopen. Have they changed the curriculum? Of course not. Have they removed the French teachers from the classrooms? No, they will still send them back. We have rather encouraged every private school to go on with business. And if they can admit a little more students, let them do it. I know the question of, we cannot afford the school fees now comes in. But again, we are in a war situation. There has to be some sacrifices. We can't expect that these boys will just carry the guns all by themselves, fight, take over Amazonia, and hand to some people. There are different sacrifices to be paid at different levels.
Okay, somebody just sent me a text, I think, following what you said. Chris, I understand there have to be sacrifices, but let me see, I'm reading the way it is, if the error is okay. But your children are attending school in the United States. Why should it be other children on ground zero to sacrifice and not your children?
Because I am in the United States, because I am not on ground zero. If anybody on ground zero was in Europe or the United States, their children were not going to school. If I was on ground zero, my children probably will not be going to school. I did not rush to the United States when this war started. I have always been here. I have lived here for going to almost 30 years. So please, and people should not forget, some of us are not in this so we can rush back to ground zero and become minister or president or anything like that. I have nothing, zero, to come back there to pick from there. We are sacrificing for the generations that are yet to come.
Are you willing to sacrifice your position as leader of the interim government if Ayabacho were the one chosen to lead the whole movement?
My tenure here at the interim government ends September next year.
All right, point taken. Chris, it's gone. We've gone over 90 minutes. Unfortunately, I can't do all the questions that we have to end somewhere. I have to thank you for accepting to, I've invited people from the government of the Republic of Cameroon, and sometimes they accept, and then at the last minute, they backpedal. So I don't know why. I mean, if you are a proud member of the CPDM, I thought you should be able to come and defend it here. You know, we try to be as fair. Chris, we've been fair to you.
If you can get any of them, please invite me on the set with them. I would like to honor that.
Very good. Okay, I think word is out. Everybody's listening. Oh, let me say this. If you are watching us on YouTube, please show some love. Just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We have terrific programs coming up. We try to be as fair as possible. Now, if you were asking the question why we invited Chris here, now you know. That's the beauty of Chatniyte Africa. We are not controlled by any corporation. We're not controlled by any government. We're not funded by any pressure group. Our friends help, and they help on condition that they don't get to determine the people I invite here on the platform. Chris, thank you so much. Do you have a last word? 30 seconds.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me here. I just like to say to every Amazonian out there, as I said before, this war is not about us. It is about the future of your children, our children, the generations yet unborn. War is not cheap. War demands sacrifice. We've seen other countries that have been on this same route as we are, and seen how much it took, how long it took. That is what we are trying to do here. Do not say, oh, the sacrifice is too much. We are suffering too much. I bet you maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years from today, after it is all said and done, when you turn and look back, you will say it was worth it. I encourage you, please support us.
You best. I know that you are the leader of the interim government, but if somebody called you a warlord, would that be accurate?
No, I'm not a warlord. You can call me and anybody is free to call me anything. It doesn't legitimize that. I am just a liberation fighter. I will call it that way, a liberation fighter.
All right. I think I'll have to see what the difference between that
and that is why they call me a comrade in arms.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on Chatniyte Africa. We will have other opportunities to talk about the things going on. You are one of the loud voices on Ground Zero. It's on account of that we invite people like you. You may disagree, Capo Ayabacho. I've asked him to come talk here. I hope he will accept that. Would you like to debate Ayabacho if he
absolutely, I will, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. No taken. I'm sure that his people are watching, like your supporters watching. Thank you, Chris, for coming on Chatniyte Africa. That's where we draw the curtain, and I appreciate all of you watching. Please hit the notification button on YouTube and the subscribe button. Merci à tout le monde. Thank you for watching. My name is NCHAMUKONG. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'll see you the same time next week. Bye for now when you hear this jingle.